In this town, where the sun beats down hard on the dust and the asphalt is cracked, legends are forged in iron and chrome, and there is no legend more feared or more misunderstood than the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. In the media, they are portrayed as the scum, the product of anarchy, men who live on the fringes of the law or actively against it. They are seen as outlaws, the personification of danger. Their leather vests, adorned with the iconic patches, do not inspire trust, they inspire fear. But as in every good story, the truth has layers, and what society sees is only the fractured surface of a deep well of loyalty and unbelievably honor. This is the story of one of those moments, a moment where fear turned into hope, and the legend of the Bandidos MC was rewritten in the heart of a forgotten community. The scene begins in an unlikely location, the gymnasium of Westview Elementary School. It wasn't a day for a biker rally, nor a bar fight. It was the semi-annual Parents and Students Assembly. Plastic chairs were arranged in cluttered rows, the smell of floor wax and sweat hanging in the air. The majority of the parents were professionals, mothers and fathers dressed appropriately for the school environment. But in the back, as always, there was a group that completely stood out. It was them, the Bandidos, close to 10 of them. The president, known only as Hammer, a giant with a grizzled beard and eyes that seemed to have seen too much, was sitting with his lieutenants. They were there for a simple yet crucial reason. The son of one of their most senior members, Ghost, was being honored for achieving top grades in mathematics. Ghost, a man who looked like he was carved from granite, stood next to Hammer, looking uncomfortable but proud. They were a dark, intimidating stain amidst the light pastel of the assembly. Mothers subtly moved away, and teachers maintained a respectful distance. The principal, Ms. Evans, a small, soft-spoken woman, was at the microphone going through the usual announcements when the award ceremony began. The children went up on stage smiling shyly, accepting their certificates. It was a moment of community pride, until it was Lily's turn. Lily was not the daughter of an MC member. Lily was a 7-year-old girl with large dark eyes and a worn dress that seemed a little too big for her. She was a quiet child, almost invisible. She went up on stage to receive a reading award. As Ms. Evans handed her the certificate and congratulated her, there was a brief silence, the kind of silence that only happens in a noisy crowd. It was in that moment that Lily, her voice low and trembling, but strangely clear in the open microphone, whispered something that should have been inaudible, but which resonated throughout the gym. She wasn't talking to the principal. It seemed like she was talking to no one, just to relieve the weight she was carrying. Her phrase was like a shard of glass in the silence. She looked out at the crowd, specifically at a corner where a large, irritable man was sitting, and her voice, caught by the amplifier, said, "He hurts me at home." The whisper became a silent scream that paralyzed the assembly. Ms. Evans froze, her smile dissolving into panic. Parents began to whisper, some standing up, confused and shocked. The man in the corner, Lily's father, turned red and began frantically gesturing for his daughter to get off the stage, his anger barely contained. Protocol failed. The principal hesitated, looking for help, trying to maintain order, but the bomb had already exploded. It was a moment of collective failure, of social paralysis. Everyone knew what they had heard, but no one knew what to do except one group of men. They stood up. 10 Bandidos MC patches rose in unison at the back of the gym. There were no shouts, there were no threats, just a synchronized movement, imposing and silent. Hammer, the president, took the first step. Every step he took was heavy, a slow and irrefutable heartbeat. The crowd, previously paralyzed by Lily's shock, was now paralyzed by fear of the Bandidos. But the fear was directed not at them, but at the man who had been accused. Lily's father tried to stand up, his face a mask of fury and denial, ready to pull his daughter off the stage and silence her. But he didn't get the chance. 4 MC members, led by Ghost, quickly advanced towards the stage. They didn't look at Ms. Evans, nor at the crowd. Their eyes were fixed on the small figure of Lily. Hammer, on the other hand, walked slowly towards the father. He stopped 3 feet away from the man. The size difference and the aura of threat were palpable. The air seemed to have become electrically dense. The crowd didn't move. It was the outlaw's justice entering the scene. Hammer didn't need to say a word. He just stared at him. The father's eyes wavered. His bravado crumbled. He knew who those men were and what they represented in their distorted but rigorous code of honor. Child abuse was not just a crime. It was an abomination that not even the street tolerated. Meanwhile, Ghost was on stage. He was not known for his subtlety, but as he approached Lily, he knelt down, his leather vest creaking. His large, tattooed fingers gently took her small hand. He didn't pressure her. He didn't force her to speak again. He simply took the certificate she was still holding and placed it in her backpack, while speaking in the roughest, softest voice anyone in the assembly had ever heard from him. He looked into her eyes without judgment, just with a silent promise. Lily, who had been shaking, squeezed his hand. What followed was a display of logistics and determination that the Bandidos applied best in any endeavor, legal or illegal. Hammer made a subtle gesture to the father, indicating that he should not move. Two other members, who were guarding near the exit, quickly moved to block the passage. Ghost picked up Lily, wrapping her in his large leather jacket, hiding her from the world, transforming the symbol of an outlaw into a blanket of protection. He descended from the stage and, without looking back, headed for the exit. The assembly was silent, a silence that screamed with the question, what were they doing? Were they kidnapping the girl, or were they rescuing her? The answer was clear to anyone who saw the way Lily nestled into Ghost's shoulder. She wasn't afraid. She was safe. The escape from the school assembly was orchestrated with the precision of a military operation, a stark contrast to the chaos they left behind. Ghost carried Lily out, shielded by the intimidating presence of his brothers. They moved quickly across the parking lot, their heavy boots crunching on the gravel, towards a line of gleaming, powerful motorcycles. These machines, usually symbols of rebellion and disregard for rules, were now their chariots of protection. They didn't stop for helmets or small talk. Ghost gently placed Lily, still wrapped in his jacket, into the sidecar of a customized Harley-Davidson, securing her like the most precious cargo. The roar of the engines, a thunderous sound that usually announced trouble, was this time the sound of deliverance. They rode out in formation, not speeding dangerously, but riding with an authoritative purpose that dared anyone to intervene. Back inside the gym, Hammer had solidified his control over the situation without lifting a finger, purely through presence. The father, realizing the depth of his mistake and the immediate danger he was in, tried to storm out. But the two bandidos standing by the exit were immovable granite. They didn't threaten him. They just blocked his path, their massive bodies communicating a non-negotiable message. "You stay right there." Hammer finally spoke, his voice a low growl that carried weight, addressing the stunned principal, Ms. Evans, who was fumbling with her phone. "Call the cops, lady," Hammer commanded, his eyes still locked on the father. "Tell them you have a man who just got accused of hurting his kid. Tell them the Bandidos are holding him until they get here, and tell them if they take too long, we'll handle it our way." The implicit threat was clear, yet for the first time, Mrs. Evans felt a strange sense of relief wash over her. The situation, though taken over by outlaws, was now controlled. The local police arrived swiftly, alerted by the panicked yet strangely precise call from the school. They found Hammer standing guard, relaxed, smoking a cigar, while his men ensured the father remained pinned against the wall, utterly defeated. When the officers, led by Sergeant Miller, approached, they were tense. They knew the Bandidos. They knew the trouble they brought, but they also saw a quiet Jim, a sobbing principal, and a man who looked terrified, not of the police, but of the outlaws who had acted as impromptu jailers. Hammer met Miller halfway, tossing the cigar aside. "He hurts her, Miller. You heard the kid? The little one. We took her. Safe. Now you take him. Do your job right, or we'll finish ours later." The sergeant, a man who had dealt with the Bandidos for years, recognized the genuine, cold seriousness in Hammer's tone. This wasn't a power play. It was a handover of justice. The father was cuffed, silently led away, the cheers of a few relieved parents echoing faintly. Meanwhile, Ghost and the escort detail didn't take Lily to their clubhouse. That was too exposed. too close to the life they lived. Instead, they took her to the remote, modest home of one of their auxiliary members, a retired nurse and trusted ally of the MC. This was their safe house, a place away from the patches, away from the loud noises, a place that simply offered stability. Lily was introduced to Mrs. Clara, a kind woman with warm eyes and the gentleness that Ghost, for all his efforts, could never fully muster. They didn't try to interrogate her or turn her into a witness. They just let her be a child. Ghost handed Mrs. Clara a thick wad of cash for supplies and told her in no uncertain terms, "No one gets in, not family, not cops, unless they got the official paper, and even then, you call me first. She's ours now." This wasn't kidnapping. It was a deeply personal vow of protection, the kind of commitment only men who value loyalty above all else could truly understand. The story, of course, couldn't be contained. News leaked through the school, through the police department, and then exploded online. The narrative was confusing. A notorious criminal motorcycle club had acted as first responders to a child abuse cry and physically intervened, delivering the abuser directly to the authorities. The media was torn. Their standard narrative of the evil bikers clashed violently with the undeniable reality of their heroic actions. But in the local community, the narrative shifted instantly. People didn't see criminals, they saw protectors. The Bandidos patch transformed from a symbol of fear to a bizarre badge of vigilance. Mothers started looking at the men on the Harleys with a different kind of respect. The silent, feared outlaws had done what the system, the teachers, and the community at large had failed to do. They acted immediately, decisively, and protected the most vulnerable. The Bandidos, true to their nature, didn't seek accolades. They didn't want parades or interviews. They simply ensured that the legal process followed through. Ghost visited Lily often, not as an intimidating biker, but as a silent guardian, sometimes bringing her a small toy or a piece of candy. When Lily finally went into foster care, the Bandidos didn't disappear. They quietly used their network, their influence, and their resources to ensure she was placed in a loving, safe home far away from her abuser, a home they vetted themselves. They kept an eye on her, a silent, powerful shadow ensuring her safety from a distance. The ultimate irony of the situation was that the men the city feared most turned out to be the only ones brave enough to risk everything: their freedom, their reputation, their delicate truce with law enforcement, to protect a little girl. Their actions proved that sometimes the moral line is drawn not by the uniform you wear, but by the code you live by. The Bandidos are still outlaws, still rough, still riding the edge of society. But for Lily, and for the people of Westview who witnessed that assembly, they are no longer just the Bandidos MC. They are the men who stood up, the unexpected heroes, the ones who proved that brotherhood extends far beyond the cut of a leather vest, especially when a child whispers 4 terrifying words into an open microphone: "He hurts me at home."